You may remember when Tana Hope first spoke to GGBC, we were all more aware of how we sit. So everybody sit up straight, watch your posture. Over the years, she has given us advice on our health and well-being. When she moved to Washington, she fell in love with her new passion. Tana's journey from a regular participant in Keystone Flyers flights to becoming a wellness bridge between East and West is a fascinating one. For 7 years, almost every Wednesday, she soared through the skies of the Pacific Northwest with the Keystone Flyers, not just relishing the breathtaking views, but also discovering the unseen forces that impact our daily lives. Flying at higher altitudes prompted Tana to recognize the significance of Feng Shui principles and the effects of electromagnetic field, EMF, pollution on our well-being in this modern age. This realization became a catalyst for her to delve into the intricate relationship between human biology and the world around us. Tana's quest led her to explore the physics behind human biology, connecting the dots between scientific principles and health practices. This profound understanding became the foundation for her role as a wellness bridge between East and West. And as she unveils her journey today, Tana shares not only how she ventured into the world of flying, but also invites you to participate in and to witness the awe-inspiring views of the Pacific Northwest from a perspective beyond the ground. Her story unfolds into a unique blend of ancient wellness wisdom and modern science, ultimately creating a bridge of information that matters to you. So join Tana Hope on this transformative journey and discover how she emerged as a wellness bridge between East and West by bridging the ancient wellness wisdom and modern science. To discuss your wellness bridge between East and West, please welcome our own member, Tana Hope.
I love flying, and I've been flying for 7 years now in the Pacific Northwest with the Keystone Flyers. Thanks for having me to present this stunning view of the Pacific Northwest to you this morning. These are the planes I usually ride around. And I got into the world of flying by marrying into a family called Rearwind, who used to manufacture rear-wing airplanes in 1926 to 1945. So the airplane was just around in the family. These are some of the examples of the rear-wing airplanes that they manufactured, and you can actually buy this Christmas ornament from Amazon. Cost me $30 to buy this little thing. And thanks to my girl's grandfather, I want to go back to this picture. The man in the middle is my girl's great-grandfather who started the rear-wing airplane manufacturing facility. And the man on the right, who is Ken Rearwind, who is my girl's grandfather. And before my girl's grandfather passed away, he knew if he did not tell the story about the rear-wing airplane, and that story will be buried. So he commissioned the writer, Bill Wright, to write the story about the rear-wing airplane family history, which involves the airplanes, as well as the early history of aviation in the world. So I moved to Bellingham in 2001, and I had the desire to become a pilot. So I joined the Coconut Flying Club and took class from Bellingham Technical College on the ground school. And they told me to go to Bellingham Airport at 8:30 every Wednesday and get a ride to familiarize myself with the world of flying. Is how I got involved with the Keystone Flyers. They are the cream of crop pilots, and I learned so much from them, not just the world of flying, but other things in life. These are the Keystone, some of the Keystone members, and this picture here is the cafe at the airport in Port Townsend in Washington. I just love, love, love flying. This is Bellingham. Bellingham is very unique location because we have everything. We have mountain ranges, we have the ocean, we have the lakes, we have rivers. Seattle is only an hour and a half away. Vancouver, Canada is only 1 hour away. So it's very small but international city and great place for outdoors. And we have the best air in the world, in the United States. It's been voted for many years. And also the best water. I just love the water in Bellingham because we are so close to Mount Baker. This is the Lake Whatcom where the water source is for the city of Bellingham. And it's melted glacier water, so pristine water. And the importance of water and air for health is so great. Look at all these places where we can take off or land around this area. When we say island hopping, I really mean it. We literally hop the islands around here. Look at the stunning views that I get to enjoy on almost all Wednesdays. That's why I have to leave Golden Gate Breakfast Club early, so I get to do this. We have so many mountains around, and that makes it a very interesting place to fly because of the views. Not only we have the mountain ranges, we have islands. Look at the number of islands. It's absolutely stunning, either from the air or from the ocean. There's some close pictures of Mount Baker. This is little twin sisters, and sometimes I fly right in between here. It's just jaw-dropping scenery. So not only we have mountain, but we have a very fertile ground in Skagit Valley, where a lot of crops for the metropolitan city, Seattle, is being fed. We grow a lot of agricultural products in Skagit Valley. Not only we have farms on the land, we have a farm in the ocean as well. If you go hungry in Northwest, it's your fault. And we are colorful, and color keeps changing. And we have a tulip festival in the Skagit Valley, and this is the tulip festival pilot style. The Harvey Field, which is near Everett, is private airfield, but it's very active with all kinds of fun activities like skydiving, helicopter, air ballooning. You can do it from here, very close to Seattle and only about 1 hour from Bellingham. We just fly there, have fun. The islands, flying over islands is my favorite thing to do because the view's never the same, and it's beautiful every single time I fly over. And we land, and sometimes we go have fun. Either go for a bike ride or go for ice cream, things like that. More view, San Juan Island is the largest island in this area. And there are 2 airports, Roche Harbor airport and fly there. This island on the right is Whidbey Island, where Navy is, where U.S. Navy station is. And this is a very famous bridge and very difficult place for kayaking and so on. But look at this picture of the waves that boats leave behind. And that's where I had many aha moments about energies. And we do whale watching from the air as well. The way we find the whale is look for the whale watching boats, and we know where the whales are. More island views, just stunning from the air. And it looks different from which altitude you are flying each day, so it's never the same. And we get to see people doing seine fishing. I learned about this. It's two boats with a large fish net, and they make big circle and catch the fish that way. Someday when you come to Washington, I really recommend do some flying around here. That's more of Skagit County, and that's some views of the cafe and the playground. And when I come back, I usually like coming back over the Lake Whatcom, where my house is. My house is about right here. And this water is drinking water source for Bellingham area. Not only we have Mount Baker on the left from Bellingham, but Olympic National Park is on the Olympic Peninsula. That's what I get to see when I fly over this mountain. Just so beautiful. I cannot keep my eyes off of it. Look at that. And views never the same, depending on when you fly, whether it's a summer or winter, it's never the same. You go close up like this, and I just love that. So that was the highest I went up on the Olympic mountain range. There's the lake in the Olympic mountain range. There's a small airport called CQ Airport. And this rainbow I see from the airport, airplane, it's complete circle, not half circle. Look at that. So what did I learn from all this flying on Wednesdays? You will get to learn. Do you see the propeller here? You see when airplane is not moving. And when I fly, I don't see anything. Front looks clear. But if I take picture, that's what I see. I know propeller is spinning in front of me, and yet I cannot see with my bare eyes. And with that, what I learned was the limitations of our senses. Just because we do not see does not mean it does not exist. In fact, there was a case in Alaska where some guy was standing right here and his friend started airplane by mistake and chucked his friend's head up. It's that real. And yet we cannot see. And I learned a lot by flying. I'll share 4 things today. Number one, I realized the space that we are living in while it looks empty, but it's not empty. It's filled with something. Just like fish live in the water and we can see the water because the density is higher. But where we live is gaseous and it's not as dense. So it looks empty to us, but it's actually not. There are airflows, there are eddies. Everything that happens in the water happens in the air as well, where we live. Not only we have the particles, but we have electromagnetic spectrums of all sorts, just all around us. Just be aware of that because it matters to you. Look how little we can see. We get energy from sun, and sun is this full spectrum, but what we can see is just so little of it. But be aware, what you don't see is still around you and affecting you. So even if you don't see, that does not mean it does not exist. And I realized that very clearly from the air when the boat goes by. Boat goes by, but it leaves the mark behind, and that represents the energy movements behind. And you can see when energy meets each other, it interferes each other. That's just the physics. So I love watching the boats and the water. The reason why it matters to know what energies around you is important is because when energy interferes, when energy meets, they interfere either positively or cancel each other out or negatively. There's no question about it. It's just a physics of the universe. So be aware what's affecting you. We live on the earth, and all this thing is happening, and it's affecting you, even though you cannot see, you cannot feel. But it is important to know what's going on in the solar system. I actually watch the solar weather channel. This is the world we are living in. We live on the earth. We have a natural frequency of the earth called the human resonance. That's natural. It's very large wave. But the modern days, from about 200 years ago when electricity was invented, we are creating illusions. You cannot see this, but they are there. And outside, look at all these cell towers. The reason why the energies around us matters is because we are electromagnetic beings. In the language of our biology and physiology systems is electric. So all the signals are electric signals. The fact that you can see the light and everything else is because that information went through your eyes and turned into electric signal and went back to your brain and recognized as whatever you see. And know the different kind of waves that's affecting you. And I will get to more into details later on. Mobile phone. This is a very convenient, wonderful, and scary device because the frequency range that my smartphone uses is the same as microwave, especially 5G is almost identical as microwave oven. Would you put any of your body part into the microwave oven? You wouldn't. And yet we do this for 30 minutes. You're microwaving your brain cells. Be aware. And as we turn more into 5G, the effects of the microwave that's going to affect every cells of our body is going to become greater. And by realizing those energies, I became the believer of feng shui. I grew up with feng shui practices. Feng shui, I know the feng shui principles, but I used to not believe because I thought it was, those are ancient, superstitious, it's not scientific, I don't believe it. But after learning the energy interferences and how electricity gets generated when matters move, I totally became feng shui believer and practice and study about it because it really affects you. See, where you place your furniture or yourself, house matters because energy flows accordingly. Location, 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 for so many things. Be aware where things are located and how far away or how close you are will affect you differently and profoundly. The other thing I learned was the practice of grounding. I ground myself these days, and it's really helping me with my inflammation when my finger gets hurt from arthritis. And I sleep so much better when I'm grounded before I go to bed. In fact, yesterday, I could not sleep well. I have insomnia problem, which started from my working days in Silicon Valley. I had to work at night a lot, so that broke my body systems, and I have a hard time sleeping at night. Then what I do is I go outside barefoot and stand on the grass for about 5 minutes, and I sleep so much better after that. Our brain wave range is the same as Earth frequency. We call that Schumann resonance. And being in tune with Schumann resonance is very important because we are made with earth material. We are made from clay. We get nutrients from the ground and we turn it into ourselves, but ultimately it's from the ground. So be in sync with the nature. One thing many people do not realize is that we live in a gigantic battery. Earth and the ionosphere is a battery. Earth's surface is, you cannot see right here, but it's minus, negatively charged. The electrons are on the Earth's surface. And that is why grounding is important, because we are surrounded by electromagnetic energies around us, and we get charged. And when we get charged, inflame happens, we are more painful, we cannot sleep, it disrupts our body systems. So by standing on the earth barefoot, or any bare body parts touching the ground will equalize the amount of electrons in your body, removing the static electricity. I call myself Wonder Woman because I wonder a lot. I wonder why, how. But that was good because it made me study a lot and connected many dots, because I study about physics, quantum physics, biology, physiology, anatomy, And after studying all these different areas of life, I started becoming wellness bridge because I connect dots. And I try to connect what I know as a wellness practices and dig deep into why behind. By studying the modern science, I get to bring the information that matters to you because I know how it's affecting you. I have been very dormant during the last 3 years, but this year I'm breaking away and I am planning on getting the information out to the people to help them enjoy the optimal health. I'm talking to senior centers in Whatcom County right now to present this wellness information. So I'm excited about that. And I will be presenting at the Chanticleer Book Review Company this year as well. So I'm trying, and I'm glad I had opportunity to present this information to you today. This is very short, and maybe in the future I can go deep into certain subjects and present to you like feng shui practice we can adapt for our office or house, or more in depth into electromagnetic field around us kind of thing. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, just ask. How do I?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And Janice Litvin has her hand up first, and then Bert Hill. So Janice,
Okay.
take it away.
Tana, really fascinating and wonderful, wonderful presentation. I'd love to talk with you one of these days. The thing that I was thinking about the most was, what was the most harrowing experience in flying, the most scary experience you ever encountered while flying?
Okay, I did skydiving once. I used to say, I never do that because why jump off of a perfect airplane? However, I did skydiving last year in Arizona, and we flew up with the door open. I was right next to the door, and we flew up to 10,000 feet high. And the tandem guy who was behind me kept rocking me back and forth like he's going to throw me out of the door. And that was so scary because, you know, fear of height, right? So I was the first one to be pushed off the plane. So up to that point was the scariest time. Once I fell out of the plane, actually it was not as scary as I thought. I tumbled multiple times, and then parachute opened up, and it was so peaceful, just like flowing in the water. It feels just like that, very calm, very peaceful, very flowy. I just went back and forth. But up to that point was the scariest time in the plane for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, one time when I was flying, one door got opened. So that was a little bit scary, but I was quite calm. Yeah.
Bert Hill?
Yeah, you brought me home. I went to elementary school in Mount Vernon, and I regularly go up there.
Good morning.
What?
I think somebody
okay.
was speaking to somebody else.
I guess so. Anyway, I'm not going to take a lot of time, but it is a beautiful area. I've backpacked in the Olympics, lower and upper Lena trail. I recommend it to everybody. The Olympics is one of the youngest mountain ranges in the United States. It's really somewhat hard to get through on. It's a rainforest in there. And so that's a pretty exciting area. I just wanted to mention to you something else. When you get into feng shui, when I was remodeling my house here in San Francisco, my building inspector was Chinese, and I was doing some work down in a closet, and wanted to put a mirror on the closet wall. And he said, I said, is there any requirement as to the height and everything? And he says, no, but it's terrible feng shui. And after that, he would advise me all around the house what was good feng shui, bad feng shui. So I recommend that to anyone else. If you're going to get a building inspector, get one who is Chinese or Asian and understands feng shui. So leave it with that.
Well,
Yeah,
wonderful.
not
Yeah,
only
I had my house feng shui many years ago. Unfortunately, it's quite good. My question, Tana, is apart from standing on grass, which I don't have around my house, how could I get grounded so I can sleep better?
Okay, you can actually ground yourself by using copper pad and copper wires. In fact, after experiencing how well I slept after grounding myself, I'm going to make little grounding pad. I went to this hardware store yesterday and bought little copper board panel, small, about this size. And then I bought 50 feet of bare copper wire. And I'm going to tape the copper wire to the board and put that underneath you to touch your skin when you sleep. And then put the other end of the copper wire into the ground, not to the outlet, because outlet is dirty electricity, so to speak. Because if you are doing that, the man-made electromagnetic field will be coming to you as well. So it is very important to ground to the ground itself, not to the outlet. So if you do a Google search, if you go to Amazon, actually there are many grounding products.
Good.
But learn how to use, I can give another presentation on that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm big on that.
All right, good, wonderful. And do we have any other questions for Tana about flying, about grounding, about what she said? This is quite amazing. And it's Bill Buchanan. All right, good. Bill always has questions. We love it. A curious mind at every age.
I'm like you, Tana. I got to know more than I know, you know. Anyway, congratulations on getting your pilot's license. And some years ago, I had the good fortune to be over in eastern, the east of the Sierras. And I took a sailplane ride, compliments of my next door neighbor, who's not only a contractor, but a tow pilot. And so we went up in I think it was a Cirrus model, and flew over Heavenly Valley. It was, and other places up there that you would, it was in Minton, I think is the name of the town. Anyway, it was an experience of pure flight, just short of having feathers and flapping around the sky. It was fantastic. Have you ever done any soaring up there in the Northwest?
No, actually, I do not have a pilot's license. I studied the world of flying in Northwest because I wanted to get the pilot's license. And another reason for wanting to fly was because people say Asian woman cannot drive. So I thought, well, then I'll fly. So I joined ground school. But after flying with the Keystone Flyers, I just love enjoying the sceneries around, and I have a scattered brain, and I don't focus on flying. I just keep looking around. And so I just decided, okay, I do not have a brain to be a good pilot. In fact, I'm giving everybody favor by not being a pilot, I think. So I just am a co-pilot, so to speak, but I just love enjoying, and I do fly with pilots every Wednesday, whenever possible.
Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mike Milstein and then Paul Coleman.
Yeah, Tana, I very much enjoy sailing, sailboat sailing, and I've always thought it'd be fun to learn how to fly and get a license. Are there any age restrictions on getting a pilot's license?
No, actually there is not, as long as you can pass physical exam. In fact, 2 years ago, we had one pilot passed away at age 94. In fact, in my YouTube channel, there's an interview with him. He's been flying for 77 years, and he flew until he was 93 because he kept passing the exam, medical exam. So as long as you can pass, you can fly.
Okay, good.
Wonderful. So is that going to be on your bucket list, Mike?
What's on my list?
Yeah, good. All right. All right, Paul Coleman, all the way from cold, freezing England.
Yeah, Tana, that was an excellent presentation. I have to say, I think as you every few minutes in your presentation, you said I could do another talk about this, another talk about that. I think you've got 10 lined up already on 10 topics, because that was fascinating. But I will just well, allow me to appear a little bit ignorant, but I was fascinated about this point about Feng Shui, and apologies if that's not correctly pronounced. But your talk was quite a bit about, well, beautiful scenery, everything like that, plus a lot of science. Now, is there a link? You know, and you told us about the copper wire. Is there a link between Feng Shui and sort of clear science point of view?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to disbelieve you. It's just intriguing. If I gave you my best choice for your next talk, it would be Feng Shui, because I know so little about it, but fascinating it is.
Yes. The reason why I became the believer of Feng Shui is because of the science. Before, I did not understand the science behind the Feng Shui principle, but the pilot who I fly most with, he is retired electrician. So we talk about electricity a lot. And one of the things that he told me that was really enlightening for me was, when matter moves, it generates electricity. When matter moves in electromagnetic field, it generates energy flow. With that, I connected so many dots, especially for Feng Shui, because Feng means wind, Shui means water in Chinese character. So wind and water. Feng Shui. What's the commonality of wind and water? It's matter moving. Wind moves, water moves. Whenever any matter moves in universe, it generates energy flow. So think about house right next to I-5. Busy, crazy flow all day long. If you live right next to it, your cells never be at rest. It's going to affect your health, physical health, emotional health. That's why the location of your house is very important. And some people, some Woo people, they think, hanging this little crystal is going to overcome all that. But that's yes and no, because you have to realize different forces have different strength. So if there's a storm coming, by waving this little crystal, it's not going to stop the storm. So we have forces from sun, other planetary systems. We have Earth spinning, solar flaring. There are all kinds of things that's affecting us. So knowing how forces are moving, whether we can see it or not, is what feng shui is all about. For example, if you place a huge furniture in front of, right by the door, blocking the doorway, that's going to have a different energy flow. And the other thing is, if you open your house door and you just look into the toilet, what are you going to think about? It's going to affect your psychology. It's going to affect your brain waves and what you will be in your head. Everything affects everything. That's why feng shui is very important. In fact, I just moved to my new building on Lakeway, which is closer to the downtown. So I did feng shui practice and moved my bed around. And by turning the bed direction 90 degrees made a huge difference on how I felt when I lie down on the bed. Just so peaceful, and you just focus on resting and sleeping. Before, it was looking into the living room and everything when the door was open, and it was very disturbing to me. So I could not sleep well. So I sleep much better after I turned my bed around. Very important. So yes, feng shui is very scientific. The feng shui basically is the observation of effects of the energy force for over 3,000 years. People didn't know the science behind it, but they knew the effect of the locations and how things are located, because energy flow will affect you differently. And people who are into real estate really should study about feng shui, because just because it's cheap does not mean it's cheap. You may be paying with your health if you are buying house near the very high voltage power line, because think about all the electrons that's constantly moving in very high stream, the energy that generates is around there, because when things move, even if it's a small thing as an electron, it creates electricity. And it matters to you because it affects you. So yes, there are.
Thank you very much. That was very, very enlightening. I'm not saying I fully understand it, but it does create a lot of thought. I would say that, and I will look forward to you doing a talk on that. Thank you.
And thank you, Paul. Now, Tana, just imagine our realtor members, or even we, realized our house is placed in a not feng shui area, or the way it's built. You know, if it isn't practical to sell it, can a feng shui expert tell us how to make the most of our house?
Right. So there are ways to correct the feng shui or minimize the damage or improve the environment by doing things. For example, if your house is on the top of the hill for the view, it's actually kind of bad feng shui to be on the top of the hill, because the movement of matter, air, is very strong up there. Wind is very strong. So it's actually not a good idea while view is great. But what you can do is you can plant tall trees around the house if you are in the very windy area. So you can remedy the feng shui by doing the right things. For example, if it's, like I said, the windy area, plant the trees, create window and open the window for better energy flow, place furniture differently, change the colors, because color matters too, because different color has different effect on your brain and your emotions. So, and each color has different frequencies, right? So there are things you can do to remedy. So you don't have to move or sell, but best thing to do is buy in a good location to begin with. So you don't have to put so many bandages around, so to speak.
Good. Now, my question is for Janelle Barlow, and you're just about to put your hand up. All right, because you spend so much time in Asia. Your house is full of the most amazing Asian art. So what do you have to add to the conversation?
Well, I have a question. When I lived in San Francisco, we were out on 25th Avenue, right on the edge of Seacliff, and right around the corner from us on the lake in 25th was Patty Garfield. Some of you may know her name. She wrote all those books on dreaming. And then she and her husband moved up to Marin County, and they tried to sell their house. It was a really classic, beautiful San Francisco home. And they had a heck of a time selling it, because the moment that the people who were looking at the house and the realtor walked into the building, the first thing they did was they saw the downstairs just went directly to the front door. And the idea is that all the money would go out of the house. And they finally sold it to somebody who wasn't Asian, but it dramatically impacted the sale. But the whole idea of money going out of the staircase, I don't know, that was a hard one for me to accept. Tana,
yes.
comment on that?
Yes, I will. Realtors, be aware when you sell or when you recommend real estate to your clients, because if you involve Asians or anybody who believes in feng shui principles will not buy house that has stairs coming right to the door because they believe it's bad feng shui. When Chinese people say bad feng shui, bad luck, it really means negative interference of energy. First of all, when you open your front door, the house should be welcoming and hugging you. But if you have a stair coming right at you, that's not very welcoming to begin with. You know what I mean? What goes through your head is not like, do I go up? Do I go that way? To me personally, it's not very welcoming environment to have stairs just coming right at the door. And
Tana, can I just say this? Their stairs, they had a big atrium, and then there were the stairs, but they were pointed in the direction of the front door. So there was space there, but that was the first thing they said and it was always the money was going to come down the stair. And these people, living out there in the Seacliff area, this beautiful home worth even over $1 million at that point, and they had money, and that money was not going down the staircase and out the door.
You may notice when you go to Chinese restaurant, the entrance, usually they have a fish tank, orange goldfish, and one blackfish, because they believe that blackfish absorbs all the bad energy. That's just their belief. But interesting thing is it's kind of locked. You walk into the entrance and then go into the main dining area. That's because they don't want energy to just flow out. So if stairs right there, think about the airflow. Cold air goes down, hot air goes up. There's going to be constant air circulation because of that design. So when Chinese people say it's money, bad luck, I really interpret that as energy flow. The energy flow should be welcoming when you come in, not like this. That is my interpretation of why that stairways right at the door is not a good idea. But whether it's true or not, that's how people believe in Asia and other people who believe in feng shui. So who cares? You cannot sell the house anyway. So why buy that kind of house, right?
All right. Well, Carl Walsh has a comment and Pete, I need to leave in 1 minute to tune into another web event. If as soon as I disappear, you are in charge. But Carl, tell us the comment that you wrote in the chat.
Well, it's actually a question, Tana, which is if the stairs come down beside the front door, and you don't see that from the front door. When you open the front door, you see the living room and go all the way to the back, where we have glass sliding doors out to the lanai and the view of the ocean. Does that still present a feng shui issue?
I think so, even though you see the view, so that's better than just having stair right next to it and just a small walkway. That is better. So it'll have less effect, but I would say Chinese people would not buy house if stairs right there at the front door. So
Very good.
it'll.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Buchanan, is that your hand still up or a new comment? You're muted, Bill.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm leaving now, Pete. You are the boss, as always. Thank you.
He's always the boss, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Patricia. You run a good meeting. I have another question for you, Tana, and I'm
Okay.
taking it back up into the air up to around 8,000 feet, because this is the time of year when a bunch of crazy guys, we go on up, strap on our backcountry skis and go back up in the high Sierras. And we like to hang out around Timberline. But more than once, someone in the group will say, "This is great. I wonder why we feel better up here than we do down in the Bay Area at sea level." And I say, well, it's because of a theory that I came up with, and that is that microwave radiation and other electromagnetic stuff that's going on down at that level is less up here. Now, I have no idea
Yes.
that this is a scientific principle. I just made it up. Anyway, so they said, okay, fine. But is there any scientific evidence that that's the case, that when you get way out in the backcountry or up at that elevation, that you have less problems with electromagnetic stuff?
Yes, absolutely. When I lived in the Bay Area, I lived in Fremont area and Los Gatos area. And I had a father-in-law, parents-in-law who had house right right by the Lake Tahoe. So I used to go to Lake Tahoe during the weekend a lot. And when I go there, I enjoy the tranquility. I just rest in it. My days in the Bay Area has been so hectic. I just go there and recharge, rest. And then Sunday afternoon, I have to come back to the Bay Area. So I'm coming down the hill, and as soon as I start to see the light of the Sacramento Valley, I feel that interference is everywhere. And closer you get to the big city, you know there's a lot of noise, a lot of pollution in the air, not just the particles, but electromagnetic fields. Back then, I didn't know why, but I just knew there were a lot of interferences and I could feel it, and I was not as restful or at peace than when I was at the Lake Tahoe. Now, scientifically, I understand, and our environment is getting more and more polluted by day with 5G towers going up everywhere. I would avoid living in the city if I can help it. Actually, I am glad I'm in smaller town. So yes, what you're feeling was very real.
Thank you.
Mm.